Nope, not a fucking thing. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, nice. Very cool.
All right, we're gonna get started in about 1-ish minutes. We're gonna see if anyone else is gonna spill in here, and then we'll get started.
Did you do it through Facebook? Somebody has that audio on. Here it is.
Okay, good. We got a couple more people coming in, so I'm just gonna wait another 30 seconds and we'll get started.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started. So I was practicing this yesterday, and for time constraints, we're definitely not going to be able to get through 5 ads today, especially if I'm going to walk through them on Facebook, because I think the walkthrough is really the most important, because I know a lot of you guys don't, you're just not familiar with the ad system, and I think this is more of an opportunity to show you what's in there, and then to have you guys ask questions in live, view, versus, okay, here's a whole bunch of posts. There you go. Have fun. So you guys are all muted right now, but I really do encourage you to unmute yourself if you see something that you want to ask questions on or whatever. Of course, if I know that I'm going to answer it later, or if we know that we can get to it another time, I'll let you guys know and we'll move on. But please, 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 please ask questions as you see them. We're going to start with a PowerPoint. It's only like 4 slides, just to show you what we're going to be diving into, and then we're going to jump way into the Facebook ad system. All right, and this will be recorded as well. So once I post all of the videos this afternoon, you'll be able to go back to it whenever you want. All right, without further ado, let's get started. So this is the top 3 paid social ads for lead generation. All right, of course, there's probably a whole nother list that I could do with another top 3, but that's about it. There's only about 6 altogether, and it's just other variations of the main points from that point on, right? So let's get to number 1. And I know some of you have done this. I've done this for other people. As you can see, I made a little photo for Dion earlier when I first met all of you guys over here. But this is it's simple. It's to the point. I mean, a lot of people are doing them now. Obviously, that's all relative. A lot of people, as in 5 different people. But the classic home list lead forms, I mean, that's the most basic things you're going to find out there. It's going to be able to get you a name, phone number, and email for a buyer. I mean, it's hit or miss, though. Obviously, follow-up is hugely important. I've definitely heard claims that there are no one that actually wants to buy in this area, but that just doesn't make any sense to me, because your name and information is already preloaded. So that would mean that someone to give a fake name would have to delete all of that information and give accurate details. So remember, when it comes to any of this lead generation stuff, follow through is definitely more important than actual capture, because there's people looking all the time, and we just need to be at the right place at the right time, or have low cost ads running that are always there, so you know that you can at least get to the right people at the right time. All right. Now, like I said, we're going to be building these ads individually. So I just want to show you what they look like at first, at least a little intro to it. And then we're going to build a home list. And I believe Lisa is on here. Yep, Lisa, all right, good. Now, Lisa, I'm going to use your website as an example for this home list lead forms to show you how to use it, because you're the first person I found with a website, and it's very important to have one these days. Cool? Cool. The next is our classic. It's our video walkthrough. So for any of you guys that get drone stuff done, you do any type of video work whatsoever, this will be an ad basically showing you how to do a video campaign. All right, so the special circumstances of what you need for that, and then how you can actually get that to the right people and serve it to the right things, and also keep it shareable to all of your groups and lead gen and all the other things. And you can see, you know, like first I put incorporate drone video. And then of course, over top of that, we're talking about either providing a voiceover if you're not on camera. And in one of the classes I did a few weeks ago, I was talking about how that's important and why. I mean, it's our voice. It's what connects us to another person. You know, and I know that we all get a little self-conscious about what we own, what we sound like to ourselves, but to a lot of other people, it just sounds like you're a human being. But voice is really a thing that connects people, just because, I mean, if you're going to watch it even with sound off, the point is that when they click the video, so that means that they would be interested in whatever this listing is, they actually are going to hear the sound, and they're going to hear you talk about whatever you want, all right? Because we're building video and launching video thinking that they're not going to listen to it, you have to be prepared for when they do. And the difference between someone just opening up a video of one of your listings, watching it, or opening up a video, watching it, and then reaching out to you to go see it or whatever, or to at least follow up in some direction, is usually the difference of human emotion, human trust, human something that goes along with this series of images of this listing. I mean, without sound, it has no context to it. It's just a series of photographs. So having your voice in there, I mean, you could talk about the features of the house, you could talk about the pros of the area, you could talk about, I mean, literally anything. You know, so we really want to make sure we have your voice in there, or you, preferably. And last thing that I've been seeing, and this is, I guess, like, you don't see it on this post, but it's something I am seeing happening more and more often. And this is usually what happens when innovation's kind of stifled because everyone's doing something. So, of course, about a year or 2 years ago, everyone and their mom started putting videos together like this. So, I mean, any listing that was a high dollar listing for most, you know, agents out there, they were putting together either a drone video or a walkthrough video or something, and they were posting it on their social media. And a lot of them are just falling flat because no one's really doing anything extra with them. Like something like this: turn your pricing into a guessing game in the comments. So you can see someone right here, this Andrew Kennedy, he just put the price on there right off the bat. But a trend I've been seeing is just saying in the caption, how much do you think this is selling for? How much do you think this house is worth? How much blah, 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 blah. How much would you pay for this home? Have some type of really catchy, you know, opening line to that's what will force people to watch that video. And then also, whether they're buying or not, you'll also get to register them as watching successfully your video, which means that you can retarget them, you can re-engage them, you can get a lot of other stuff that people normally wouldn't get if they just skipped right over your video. All right, so play with the headlines, play with something else, play with, you know, how much does this cost? Where do you think this is? What's your favorite part of this video? What's your whatever, you know, whatever. If there's a specific or a specific, you know, structure on the property, like this obviously has this windmill back here. You could ask about whatever, you know, do you like this windmill? Do you want to keep it or do you want them to take it away? Whatever you can possibly do to really draw attention into your video is just what we need to do. I mean, that's how we need to approach our game. And lastly, you can see the quintessential lead magnet. Letting you guys take a look at that. So you can see this is from the biggest competitor in this area, or at least one of them. It's from Howard Hanna. This is actually an ad that they are running literally right now. And for those of you that don't know what this ad is and what they're promising almost the same things as what a lot of other people have. It's simple. They're telling you to download a book. I would use my real estate marketing brain and make the assumption that they decided to do a lead magnet like that, even though they've had these books forever, because either someone wasn't paying attention or it's winter time and everyone knows that no one's going to buy a house, quote unquote, within the next 2 months. So that's what they're saying. If you're planning on selling a home in 2020, let me capture your lead now, and then here you can have some stuff. Again, this is up to Howard Hanna to make sure that those leads get sent to people, make sure those leads get actually followed up on. So the same thing would apply for you. So if you have any of this cutting edge stuff, which I know you do, you could be just as competitive as Howard Hanna, the brand, with your own agency, your own stuff, your own business. Do any of you guys give out your pre-listing packet or buyer consult or anything like that ahead of time? And remember to unmute yourself. No takers? Maybe I should just unmute everyone and see who's listening to television. Okay.
Insecurity in Mexico was not addressed with this trade agreement, and I'm going to continue to engage the government of Mexico to do more.
Guys, I want you to talk. Remember, this isn't as effective if it's just someone walking through something. You got to ask questions. So once we get into this ad system, you should have questions. And if you don't, I would be very surprised. All right. So we're going to jump off of this PowerPoint and we're going to jump into the actual ad system itself. And I'm going to show you how to create any of these ads. So let's start with this lead magnet one, because that's one of the ones that you guys will usually have the stuff for. So you could give out your pre-listing presentation. You could give out a buyer guide. You could give out a seller guide. You could give out whatever. You could give out tips. You could give out anything, as long as it's some type of like giveaway or PDF or something. That's usually the way to do it. All right. So this is what we need to do in order to get people to download your lead magnet. All right. So let's jump over to the Facebook ad system. Okay. All right. We're on Facebook right now. We are under the ads manager section. All right. And what you're looking at is the campaign overview. All right. So does this look completely familiar to anyone, or does this look completely foreign to anyone else? Any of you guys do any of your Facebook ads? Okay. So as we're on the campaign thing, the campaign overview, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to choose our objective. And you can see right here for any housing ads, there you go. If you're targeting in the US and you're creating ads for housing, guess what? You are a special ad category, which means that you need to check this box before you create any type of ad for a house or anything related to your services selling homes. All right. So we want to make sure we're always checking this special ad category every time we create an ad in Facebook. Scroll down. Next is our objective. What are we looking for? You can always hit any of these blue help choosing an objective right here. Facebook does have a ton of free content within Facebook that you can find, and it can help you choose whatever you need to do. But again, you can always call me if you're stuck, and I can help you make the best decision that you need to. So we're looking across these 3 different versions of objectives here. And for our lead magnet, we are trying to get people to give us a lead generate, to download something else, all right? Now, this is a multi-step process that you will have to use your Google Drive for, all right? And I know you guys have used your Google Drive before, at least I hope you have, or Dropbox or anything like that, all right? Because what happens is that any of these lead forms that you have, you need to be able to have someone able to download them, so you have to host them somewhere. So you have to put them in your Dropbox, or you have to put them in your Google Drive, which I think you guys, like I said, you guys do have part of your Gmail suite. You would drop it in there, and I'll show you how to do that as well. And we're just going to use another guide that I created for someone a while ago in a different brokerage, just because that's the easily accessible I have. All right, so let's do this. We're doing lead generation because we're giving away our lead book, or we're giving away our free ebook, and we're going to get a lead from it. So we're going to change this to free ebook. And remember, this can be whatever you want.
How do we get into that page?
So when you are in your Facebook, your main home screen, you want to look at that drop down. Hold on a second. Right here. This drop down. And when you'd click it, it'll open up a section that says create ads. So you're creating ads. Manage ads. Mine says manage ads, but you're creating them. And you could also click create right up here. And then, but sometimes this create section isn't on everyone's Facebook page. But for mine it is. So if it is on yours, click create and click add.
All right, thanks.
No problem. So let's bounce back. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay. So we're giving away our free ebook with a lead generation. This is a this is a setting that's basically auto selected for now. I don't know why they're really doing it, but you really want to be cognizant of whatever they're doing. This is a new feature that's added on Facebook. They're trying to get you to optimize your budget, which is kind of an advanced thing. I would leave it on, but what I would always make sure is that you at least be cognizant of what they're trying to get you to spend. Because you can see right now, it's trying to get me to spend $100 a day if I don't correct it, right? So make sure that you're correcting it either by choosing the lifetime. So however long it's going to be, you're only going to spend $500, whatever. Or let's say I want to run it for a month, but I only want to spend, I don't know, $5 a day. All right. So let's just stick with the $5 a day just for now. We'll click continue. And you'll see over here on this side, you're in your ad set section. It's telling you that the page isn't going to work. So we're going to have to pick whatever page we're on. Right now, we're sticking on Janine's. You'll see there's a whole bunch of other options right here. So you have the dynamic creative, you have your audience, you have your placements, you have your budget. Now, our ad set, this is where things get a little complicated if you're not from the ad world. Our ad set is the population and the place that we're going to put this ad, also including the budget. So for us, let's say that we want to do the South Hills and I don't know, let's just say South Hills. So I'm going to actually call my ad set South Hills. And you make sure you have the correct Facebook page set, all right? So whatever it may be, you just make sure it's set on there. Audience, we want to create a new audience. You can use a saved audience if you've done this before, but if we're creating a new audience, it looks just like this. So you don't have that much information that you can change. So you can't change your genders anymore. You can't change your age ranges anymore. And you can barely change your locations and barely change your targeting anymore. There used to be a lot of other things that we could do. But one thing that we have to do, no matter what, every time we create an ad, unless you're using a saved audience, is change our location. As you can see right here, it's set to do everyone in the United States, but we do not want to do that. And you can do a ton of different options. You can look for a specific area within the South Hills. So say you just want to look for, let's say Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Now, no matter what, you're only going to be able to do a minimum, because of new regulation, of 15 miles. So that's it. So if we're doing even the South Hills, guess what, guys? You're not really doing the South Hills anymore. You're bleeding over. So gone are the days where we're really able to focus in on our ads saying South Hills. We can't really do any ads for school districts anymore. We can't do any ads for specific areas because we have such microscopic areas. So if I wanted to do an ad that's only for Brentwood, but not Baldwin, not Whitehall, not Bethel, I can't do that anymore. We also can't add zip codes, which is what we used to be able to do before as well. So a lot of our targeting options and our data options have been taken away from us. So this is much more generic, much more open-ended. So we're looking for bigger, more wide open area lead things. So, doing a free ebook on how to sell your home, that's something that could work on a larger area. And then your copy could reflect, no matter where you live, selling your home has never been as easy. Something like that, right? So, sorry, I digress. We're still here. We're picking either Bethel Park or an area in that spot, or I think there actually is a South Hills, Pennsylvania. Let's see, South Hills. Yeah. So as you can see, the South Hills is actually a little bit higher. They claim it, that's a little bit higher right here, but areas like that work. So let's see if North Hills works. Nope. North Hills is a totally different place. Pretty interesting. We'll stick with Bethel just because it gives us what we're looking for right now. We'll scroll down. Remember, there's no 18 to 65, and there's no change in the gender. So we can't speak to one or the other. What we can do is look and see what other options are available. The first thing we need to change is our detailed targeting. For any of you pros out there, this is where we used to put in the, homeowners, buyers, renters, blah, 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 blah. Now, there's only a few things that we can put in here that really generate some actual interest and can qualify people out from the large group. Because you can see right now, we have 940,000 people that are within this group, that are within these other parameters. So what we want to do is find any other detailed targeting to limit that as much as possible, all right? So let's start with the basic. Zillow and Facebook have a partnership. So anyone that goes on Zillow are up for grabs. So anyone that is creeping on Zillow right now and looking at properties, their data is getting sold to Facebook. So you can see literally right off the bat, anyone that is looking at Zillow, we've just reduced that from almost 1 million people to 150,000 people. So just that alone will limit you enough to stay within a better pool and not just go to a large general, 1 million different people, because that's just not going to work.
I also type in HGTV and things along those lines as well too. Is that good?
Yep, totally. I'm gonna load this up. So just keep looking. I'm not gonna talk about every single one, but just pay attention to what I'm typing in here. You'll see some things that are similar to the Zillow I've already typed in, like you'll see realtor.com. So anyone that's on realtor.com, let's look at homes.com. I mean, just any of those, you know, big real estate things. Redfin might be a thing. No. Yeah, I mean, any of that stuff. And we could also find other brokerages, but you may get other agents in that population. But you can see what this actually did. This started increasing our stuff. And we just want to pay attention to what that's doing. So just be mindful of what it's doing. So if you were at 150 and you start seeing this get up to 500 because you're adding more information, then we need to start backing it out. And I'll get into the narrowing audience eventually.
What's a good number to have?
Honestly, in this area, I would say under 100,000. Just because, I mean, there's not that many people. And if you're looking in that area, that's a 15-mile radius. That is a lot of people. So we're really trying to get it to as few possible candidates that we can, because we don't want to spend that much money.
It's been a while since I boosted a post in Facebook. I haven't done it since they did the new regulations and stuff, but like sometimes if my audience was too low, it wouldn't let me boost it. And I don't remember what those numbers were.
Right. Well, now I promise you that your audience won't be too low, because even if we try to get as low as we can, you still have a 15-mile radius.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know what I mean? Like before, we used to run ads for like 7 miles, 5 miles, whatever. But now, I mean, geez, even if we factor everyone out, we still are probably going to be over 100,000 people. So let's look at some other factors. You know, and there are multiple things to do. So I like to go with the heavy real estate stuff up top first. So we'll say some interests. We'll do some more suggestions. Okay, look at this. We got Trulia, house hunting, first time buyer, real estate, starter home, single family detached, house. I don't know. Let's just do residential area, for sale by owner. Now you can see I'm kind of skipping over this mortgage stuff first. I'm not putting the mortgage things in now because that's what I want to use to kind of see if we can scale this number down. See how it started growing? Look at that. So let's get rid of some of this crazier stuff. So let's get rid of residential. I didn't do anything. Let's get rid of house. Okay. So we got rid of house. Let's get rid of single family detached. That might be too many. Okay, we're getting them down. Okay, so this is at least a little bit better. And there, of course, are still some more stuff that you can put in there. Like we can put in luxury real estate. I mean, you know, obviously this is literally all you have here. So whatever combination of things that you can put in there are you want to. But what I like to do is really pay attention to more of the narrowing. So we want to find all this heavy real estate stuff. And like I said, you can add in whatever you want. But we want to use that narrow button. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't as well as the others, to get down to who really is qualified. So, you know, we think about real estate, like, okay, 1 million people in one can go onto Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com, Homes.com, whatever, right? But people that are really looking to buy a house are probably looking at financial things as well. So they must also match anything financial. So let's look at mortgage loans. Look at that. So all of the people that happen to be looking at this stuff, who are also looking at anything related to mortgage loans, just went from 260,000 down to 95,000 people. And you can even probably hit suggestions at this point and then find the closest stuff to that. So let's even look at mortgage calculator. Let's see what that does. All right, we haven't changed anything. Pre-qual, we went up about 1,000. Mortgage broker, so obviously they'd be looking for a mortgage broker. We're at right around the same. Refinancing, they could be. You never know. Maybe they've owned for a while. They're debating refinancing or buying. Let's throw that in there too. Let's see what happens. All right, we went up a little bit, but we're still under 100, so we're okay.
Okay, so we want to stay under 100.
You know, for this, like, I mean, it's all relative. It really is, because in the middle of springtime, that number is probably double. just because you have more people doing it.
Okay.
You know, so just like I like to stay under 100 because we don't have that large of an area. So it would be ridiculous to think that over 100,000 people are literally trying to buy right now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally makes sense.
Okay. And just because we don't have as many really hardcore targeting things, like before we literally used to be able to find out who's a homeowner versus a renter. Like that was perfect because then you knew you were only going to people who own homes. Right now, this 99 could also be including people who are renters. It could be including people who aren't any of these things that are just randomly looking at Zillow. I mean, there's a lot of other factors. So we want to pad it enough, but we don't want to be too large. So the last thing I'm going to add into this is this narrowing of this factor is the big bad in the room, Quicken Loans, which they must have gotten rid of. That's interesting. Huh. Terrifying. I wonder what they
Try
did.
typing in Rocket Mortgage.
Huh. Something happened there. Let's see if we can add it up here. Yep. So they must have done something and they broke some issue with Facebook because Credit Karma is still up here. Credit Sesame is still up here. Any other of those credit and loan. Wow, they took all of the banks out. Well, that was another thing we used to do too. So I guess they took that out as well. So we used to find the whatever additional companies would work in the credit sector or in the mortgage sector. So there was only a few. There was Quicken Loans. There was, well, Credit Sesame, Credit Karma obviously is all part of it. So I will be putting in Credit Karma. And that actually went up again.
If you put in loans, sorry, I'm like screaming.
Yeah.
It will pop up Quicken.
Nope. Now here's better.
Yeah, when you know what, when I looking at her computer, Quicken Loans come up on hers.
That's weird. Huh. Well, if you can add it into yours, then I don't know why it's not on mine, but add it if it obviously is still there. And I'll check again after the class to see why it's not there, which is strange for me. Huh. Whatever. But you can see I did add in FHA insured loan. So add that in as well. Strange. So now we have a nice little population. We've got 100,000. It's only people who are looking at the basic real estate stuff who also happen to be looking at any type of financial things. All right. And you used to be able to narrow further, which I mean, I don't even need to say now, but you used to be able to take people off lists. So like people that have recently bought cars, people who have high credit, you could literally remove them from your targeting, which was pretty crazy and pretty sketchy. But that was the Wild West. Now we're not in it anymore. Now we have a pretty good population. We do have some pretty good targeting included here. Now we want to go right underneath this. This is some extra stuff. We have connections and we also have languages. Languages, duh. Connections are how people are related to your page. So for you guys with your own, your own pages, if you get good, like a good sphere of influence stuff with your postings. So say you just got a regular crew of people who are posting and actively sharing your stuff. They're commenting, whatever. You just got a heightened up crew. We can add connection types. So they're friends. So friends of people who like your page. Like that's a really good connection to do with specific types of stuff. So again, if you do have some pretty, avid fans, look for some of these other additional connections, because that's a nice, easy way to make a referral. And Facebook knows all the stuff and how we're connected. So, having someone that recently purchased from you and then you getting tagged in their post or vice versa, and then all of their friends seeing it and you posting on it, like all of this stuff is data points that relates you to other people. So you're more than likely to get those other people who have already congratulated their friend for buying a house with you 6 months before. You understand what I'm getting at? Okay. And you can see how we wouldn't be able to pull off 5 of these ads in one class. And I don't even know, depending on if we'll be able to get through 3. We'll probably be able to get through 2 today. So let's look down here on the placements. This is where things get a little hairy too. For all intents and purposes, I suggest you guys keep it on automatic unless Facebook tells you to change it, which they would later. We're going to go down a little bit. And that's the placements, as you see when we edit the placements. Our placements are where our ad is. So these are all of the places that your ad on Facebook goes automatically, unless your content doesn't fit, or it's not long enough, or it's too short, or whatever it may be. But for the most part, look at all this space you get for the cost of your ad. It's a lot. And you can turn them off, turn them on. If you only want to go into Instagram, you can use Facebook to only do ads for Instagram. Pretty cool, right? And vice versa. But like I said, for most of us, we're going to keep this automatic and let Facebook do its thing. Before, we set up our cost in the beginning here, but now we're just making sure that we're optimizing it for leads. So we want to make sure that we're spending the lowest amount of money to get leads in as possible, all right? We don't want to spend money if we don't have to. That means that we could also change our schedule. So we could have our ads running at specific times and not at other times, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not. Oh. I'll pick mine. Why are we not going? Don't really know why I'm stuck here. Okay. Okay. So Facebook, as you can see right here, updated their lead ad terms again. So both me and you guys will probably, if you're running this ad, you'll have to agree to these terms again. So we have to click on the view terms. You're agreeing to it. You know that you can't sell any of this data. So essentially, if you're trying to capture leads from Facebook, you can't turn around and sell any of those leads to anyone else. Obviously, you can't break any of their laws as well, blah, 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 blah. Privacy, privacy, privacy. You guys get the drill. Agreed to terms. And now you can see our little red warning went away, and we're able to continue with our ad. So let's take a look. This is now, we are in our ad category. And this is the final category. And this is where you are going to showcase what type of ad you're going to run. So how it looks, what it sounds like, yada, yada, yada. So let's just change the name and we'll call this ebook ad. And remember, if you have a pre-listing packet, that also works. I mean, literally anything you can put out here. We're going to go down. You're going to make sure your pages match. So we have my page. We have the Instagram that matches. You're going to go down to either use an existing post. You can use a mock-up, or you can create an ad. For right now, we're going to be creating a new ad because obviously we don't have another one that's already built. scroll down. We are now in our media section. In the media section, that's where you're able to do all of the creative work, right? So for this, and what it will do is it'll absolutely send you to something that you posted years and years ago that's already added in there. I don't know why. It's strange. So let's just clear all the images out. And we are going to start from scratch, okay? So right off the bat, you're either going to be creating a video, creating a slideshow, or adding media. We're going to add media. Since this is a free ebook or whatever, we can just add an image. Let's see if I have something that's in store here that I can use. I'm going to use literally anything. I'll pick this house. Now, obviously, we don't want it to be the house, but it could be literally anything you want. We want it to be something that probably has a banner. Let me see if I can find something else, okay? I think you guys kind of get the point, though. You guys are pretty smart. So you can see we have ad number 1. You could add additional images to this. So you could have another image that cycles all the way through. Let's find another house, whatever. There's a house. So what that means is that for this one ad, right? You have one ad, but you have technically 2 different ads. They will say the same thing, but they'll have different photos. So Facebook will randomly pick which one to show to whoever. All right. And remember, we want to have something saying like free ebook, download today, whatever. Something on this banner. Now we'll scroll down. Let's create the text for this. Let's say, let's just stick with something that's common. Although many happy buyers find their dream home in the winter, plenty of sellers are waiting until 2020. Oop. Let's add some emojis. We're going to go to my handy dandy Emojipedia. Find a house. Let's say not be prepared, get prepared with our free ebook. Now, this is a very important part. Facebook recently collapsed their news feed to only show the first 3 lines of any post, no matter what it is. So that means that we need to get to the reason of this within that first 3 lines, or we need to rely on our headline. So this, we're going to put download now. Selling your home in 2020. Here. Let's see. We're going to add in a finger pointing. Okay. So this top, at least now, once they see whatever has come across, now they can see whatever is going on, all right? So even on the bottom, let's put free ebook. Oh, sorry. Come on, get out of there. This would be to whatever your that would be whatever your display link is. So if it doesn't port over from your website, or if you're sending them someplace else. So for this instance, we'd be sending them actually to downloading their book someplace else. So it would send them, it would say Facebook right here, or it would say, maybe sometimes it says Facebook Messenger, it'd say leads, it could say a bunch of different things. But this would make sure that we hide it. So it's just going to whatever your own website is, or at least looks like it's going to your website. Again, that's just a top of the mind idea. It's not that big of a deal. It goes away on some things anyway. And you can see down here, if we're looking on a desktop, by typing in this grab your absolutely free copy here, you can see how it drops in below, which is not available on the mobile version. We're going to change our call to action to download so everyone knows what to do. And you can see on a desktop, grab your absolutely free copy here. Download. Everyone still with me? Yeah, a lot of drones. Okay. So now that we are done with that, it's basic. It's to the point. We just wanted to say something. You can go through here and see what it looks like on literally every other possibility, but that just takes too long. So let's just scroll down to where we get to our instant form. All right. So our instant form, let me open up a new window. Our instant form is where you do your lead capture. All right, so I'm going to show you how to create one right now. We're clicking on new form. It's going to have its own title, but for right now, we're going to say free ebook Realty One class. All right. In our content form type, we have 2 options. You have more volume or higher intent. Essentially, one asks more questions than the other one and makes it harder to do. So more volume keeps this down to as little forms as possible and gets a streamlined view of them submitting their information. So on the first page that they get to after clicking your ad, it's automatically asking them for their information. So it's right to the point. Whereas if you click on higher intent, you'll see that there's some different gaps in between here. And if we clicked on next, you would see that there's more information where they could do a review and they would slide it across. And more volume, you go back, all there is click, it's already automatically has their information put in there. They click on next, it goes to the next thing. It says, hey, thanks, here's your privacy policy. They click submit, boom, you're done. So it's basically just making you have a lot more review going into it. So I would always leave it on more volume because we just want them to fill it in as much as possible and as fast as possible. Okay. And another thing I do, whenever we go over to the settings, I click on open from restricted, because that means that if you restrict it, which is what's on every other ad that you created on here, if anyone actually likes your ad enough to share it, which would be rare, but if they did, they couldn't. Whereas now, if we've opened it up, they could share that lead form to any of their friends. Now let's build this ad form. Headline, keep it short and simple, but remember we want to keep some better language than what I will do right now. So I'll probably edit it a million times later. But I would say grab your, or while your, if I could spell. Ugh. While you're thinking about selling, you could upload your own image to sit here, or you could just use the image that we used from the initial ad. So it would just copy itself over. I usually do that. And then you would write down here into a paragraph, download download our step whatever. You could put in whatever you want to put in right here. It is necessary. You could also do bullet points. So you could just explain, here are the 5 things that you'll get in this guide, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Boom, 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 boom. Whatever, 2 to 3 things. The next section is questions, and then that is going to be right here. To download, please provide your info. For our free guide, please provide your info below. Cool. And then what are the questions we're going to ask? We're going to ask their full name. We're going to ask for their email. And then I definitely ask for an additional question, which is contact fields, phone number. So we're asking for their name, email, and phone number, right? And you can literally ask as many questions as you want. You can actually even ask, like, I mean, if they want to schedule appointments with you, you can ask them to type in short answers. So like, what zip code do you live in? What area do you live in? Are you happy with your current home? Have you listed before? Have you sold before? You could add anything you want into this lead form. So all this information could be captured right up front. And then next, we have to put in our privacy policy, but once you've done it once for whatever you're creating, it stays the same. So we already have Lisa's open, her website. So I'm gonna go over to Lisa's website, and this will probably, I don't know, Lisa, if this is how you got the site or anything like that, but all of you guys, any of your sites that you're running, they should have a privacy policy built into it. So at the very bottom of any of your own websites or the broker's website, you should go to the privacy policy. And this is mandatory. You have to click on it, you have to open it up, you have to copy it. So you go up to the URL and you copy. We go back to our Facebook and we put it, boom, right in here. And the link text would be my privacy policy, whatever. Lisa's privacy policy, whatever you want to put in there. Just make sure that it says privacy policy. Okay. They would hit submit. They can go to your privacy policy if you want, if they want. Once they hit submit, it goes to a thanks, you're all set. Your info has been sent. Tap below to whatever. So let's just say tap below to download your free 2020 seller's guide. Change our button type to download because that's what they're getting. Download guide is going to be the name of our button. Now here's where things get a little crazy for any of you tech savvy people. Remember, we had to host it onto our Google Drive or our Dropbox. All right, so let me find a guide. Here we go. Let me share my other screen here so I can show you what I'm looking at. Okay, so you guys are currently looking at a agent who lives in Ohio, works in Ohio. They literally did this and they gave out a free home staging guide. And you can see that she literally just took pieces from blogs and added it onto a Word document and made a quasi guide. Right? It's a guide. It's there. It's real. So this is what we need to do. When we're on our Google Drive, so we're in our Google Drive, we're looking at the document. So you would upload the document into your Drive. We're looking at the document. We want to either right click on it or we want to go into the details of it. And we want to click on share. And when we're on share, we want to make sure that our link sharing is always onto this. Anyone on the internet, and this is something that we could do in a later training, and like Carrie, I know you, if you're there, obviously this is all stuff that we could deal with at a later time, but because it's one little part of a tiny little piece, we want to make sure that this is set on to everyone on the internet can find and download. So this is essentially now completely possible to download. Share it with, get a shareable link. Here's the link to the document, right? We want to copy that link. Go back over to our Facebook. And plug it in right here. Website link. And the way that you would know whether this works or not, because remember, you want to make sure that they don't have to sign in to download it. And sometimes with that Google Suite, what it'll do is it'll block anyone on the internet from finding it, and it'll only allow other people who are in your own business suite, so your other coworkers, to download it. So, and that's just a question you guys can ask to, just for clarification later. But to test this, we just want to make sure that we have that thing still copy and pasted, and we open up a new tab, paste and go, and it should go directly into that. So there you go. So what would happen when we're done with this form is at the end of this, they're going to click the button and it's going to take them right to there. We're going to click finish. So we've finished this, all right? So if you save it and you want to make changes to this form later, you can. But remember, we should be finishing it before we can publish it. So we click finish. All of our things check out and we're good to go. So here's our instant form. There we go. All of their information will populate. Boom, boom, boom. Once they clicked on here, it would take them to wherever your guide is. There you go. They would download their free guide. Down here below where we were just at, this is the last piece and then we're done. You want to make sure that your tracking is turned on. How many of you guys that have websites have a Facebook pixel set up? Lisa, do you have your pixel set up?
Lisa had to go do a showing.
Oh, it's okay. Cool. Well, for you guys and your pixels, listen, you guys all have to have them set up. Like if you have a website and you don't have a pixel to it, you're wasting your time. It makes no sense. And it is the most frustrating thing known to man. Your Facebook pixel is the calibrator for everything else your page is going to do. And if you don't have it up and you won't take the time to do it, you're flat out lazy because it's ridiculous. And it's saving you thousands of dollars in literally a year to be able to retarget people who have your pixel versus finding cold traffic every single time. So if you don't want to take the time to set up your pixel, be my guest, but when all of the other agents in this area that do have one set up and have their own website and they're sending people to go look at stuff, they're going to blow you out of the water because it's going to cost them less to do all of this advertising, and then they're going to keep all of their data because you can see that Facebook is taking the data away more and more and more. So installing your Facebook pixel and tracking it is the most important thing that you could do. And it's very frustrating how almost no agents have it set up or even think that it's necessary. Okay, soapbox over. We're going to click review. You're going to make sure you have all your stuff going in here. Here's what your ad looks like, blah, 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 blah. You would click confirm, which I'm not going to do because I don't want to do this. But once you click confirm, it would take you, actually, we can do it. I'm just going to turn it off. Here you go. We are back to our ads manager. We're looking at our free ebook. It's being uploaded as we speak. Free ebook right here. Not delivering. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Just because I don't want to actually have it run, but you guys get the point. Does anyone have any questions on that? Anyone?
I think it might just be you and I.
That's
I
cool.
do not have questions.
Are you good?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I do have a, have you ever done like a home list or anything?
No.
It's a similar type of setup, but essentially you're just going straight after buyers and they're going after a hardcore piece of property. So you're going and using your, do you have a website?
I do.
Okay. So take a look at Lisa's really fast, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but I'm just going to show you how we can use it. So you can see with Lisa's site here, you guys obviously know that you can go up to your property search. And with this home list, all we're doing is we're creating a search that's pre-populated. So like, you know, it's lost a lot of value because of that 15-mile radius, but like, honestly, you know, a high dollar area or like, I mean, a place where people really want to move. Like if you type in Sewickley, that knows no boundaries, right? Like it just doesn't. So we can also type in Sewickley Sewickley Township. Keep typing in whatever you need to, right? So that Sewickley attracts people from literally anywhere. So doing a home list for houses in Sewickley, like this is now a saved search because we've changed some of these filters. So if we change the beds and bath, let's say we change it to 4, we apply that. Now, this URL, if we copy and paste it, becomes a pre-formatted search, directing everyone to only your website. All right. That is how you're able to get people to go to your website and look through properties and still submit information ahead of time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, cool. And you see how you can make that in a million different ways? All right, cool. Do you think you're going to run an ad like that?
I can, but I was messing with mine, and either I get 1 million people or I get 50 people with 0 leads. And even if I put it for $20 a day, it's still like 2 leads.
Really?
And like, yeah, and then it says that it would only show up to like 291 people, and that was with 1 million people following and with 55 people or 5,500. I could get 300 likes on a selfie. So it's
Right.
like, you know, I could,
Right. So like, what are you really getting?
yeah.
Yeah, I know. Listen, and it's one side of coin or the other. I mean, like, okay, so
It didn't come up for you, but it came up for me. It just like, I don't know. I don't trust it.
yeah, I know. And from when I started to now, like the quality of what it is has changed so dramatically. I mean, it's like shocking. Like right now, the best ad to run is not a, hey, buy a house. Like, here's whatever. Like, you're not going to find people like that. But during that peak season, I mean, you're going to find people. Just because you're looking at the process of numbers, you're looking at people actually care during that period of time. Like you got all these other factors stacking against you, or stacking for you. You know, right now, like you said, like having good organic postings and then just being capable of following up with them and really being engaging is going to outweigh any of this ad stuff like 5 to 1.
So what do you do? Do you do the Facebook ads, or do you just go on your Facebook business page and just kind of like put yourself out there and just be active on that?
So, I mean, it's a combo of both. I mean, for me, I'm indifferent because I'm in a different type of like atmosphere. Like I know who I'm going after already. Like I already have a small population per se. Whereas like a real estate agent's going for literally anyone who's going to buy a house. So you're at a much larger scale. You know, so like, okay, take your example of like your likes for your selfie. So yes, you'll get those likes and the engagement on that selfie, but then it's dead in 24 hours. So how the idea behind that is that if we're not going to be spending money on ads to keep things just kind of running, what are you going to be able to do to take that 300 like selfie and turn it into a, hey, buy a house?
Yeah, an often thing. Yeah, that's actually a good way to look at it.
You know, and that's like you're just working through like, I mean, you're kind of building a campaign, but you're building it in this odd kind of structure. So, all right, you post your selfie, right? Let's say your selfie is you with your, let's say you have a listing already and it's a sign in the background, like a yard sign in the background. Like that's a great picture that has both lead gen qualities and you get the bonus of having just a normal human selfie. But placed onto a Facebook page, you can advertise it.
Yeah.
So do you see how all of that can come together where you could actually get all of the best of the worlds?
I do.
So next time you're thinking about it, so like think of that, like, you know, think of the selfie that you know work, put it on your business page, make sure you have some type of businessy thing in it with like your contact, like hold a yard sign in your hand, hold your business card up, like just do something that has your contact info or some type of branding and then put that on your page, advertise it for a small amount and see what that does.
Hey, Vinny, what's the best time to do advertising?
Well, ads run all the time unless you turn them off. I mean, I turn them off usually during the nighttime. So like, I don't have ads that run from like 1 a.m. to like 5 a.m. usually. But ads are, because they're running all the time, it's all predictability on the other person's end. So you can't really predict it. That's why you run them all the time. You know, as much throughout the day as you can.
Actually, I meant like more during seasoning or seasonal wise.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, right now you're in holiday time. Like I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of people that will prove me wrong or say that they prove me wrong, but like, I don't think that people buy houses during this month in particular. And I think that they have even harder time buying it in the next month because no one has any money. So I think that for the next 2 months, doing anything that's flat out real estate is pointless at best. I do think leading into like February, that's when you start getting into more of like the real estate stuff. Play into what the consumers think. Like right now, people are spending money and they're either into the holidays where they like the positivity of the holidays, or they are begrudgers and they hate the holidays because they're spending so much money and blah 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 blah. Like that's the two things that people are actually paying attention to.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So thinking like what Howard Hanna did, even though they're kind of a pain, listen, doing that and setting it up and saying, hey, listen, we know full well that you're not going to buy a house now or sell your house now. So why don't you think about selling it in 2020? That's a good ad. Anyone else have any questions? Cool. And Sammy, there are a lot of other stuff that you can do. Like I just went into like literally the hardest and most expensive ad that you can run because people want something that's like lead generating. But I firmly believe that having other systems in place, like having the ability to take a selfie and then to know that you can follow up with those people and like generate an organic kind of interest is so much better than running even the hardest of like lead capture ads. Like it just is. So, I mean, think about it. Like, do you pay for any other lead gen stuff? Like, do you pay for Zillow, pay for Realtor, any of that stuff?
No.
Okay, good. So, I mean, that's usually what people are comparing it to. You know, you're just looking at like the opposite stuff looking in. You know, so timing, like Martin asked, is important. But you're 100% right, because if you were running ads in lead gen 2 years ago, you'd be getting for $5 a day, you'd be getting like 20 people a day. It was crazy. All right, cool. If you guys don't have any other questions, I think we're going to go ahead and end it. And then I'm going to, you know, just publish this stuff later. We're going to go through more, obviously, but I'm not going to put everyone through another thing, or at least 2 people through another thing that's going to share the same thing, where we could do another class and do a totally different style of that.
Okay.
Is that cool?
All right.
Yep. Thank you, Vinny.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Talk to you guys soon.
See ya.